share. Here we go. Welcome, everybody. I'm Cindy Myers, and if you'd like to learn more about my services, you can go to yourenergyhealer.com. And tonight, we're going to talk to something that I'm in the midst of dealing with, and that is tending to an animal that is either sick or recovering. And I have a puppy that just was spayed Monday, so we're in recovery mode. Only he's recovered too fast and wants to zip around and play too much. So, but we will talk about, there's nothing more such a helpless feeling when your animal is sick or not feeling well or injured and needs recovery and you don't know what to do for them. So there are a few things I can help you with that you can do energy wise, to work alongside with what your vet is doing for them. So, but of course, if you're in the midst of a medical emergency, please contact your veterinarian. But I understand too how difficult it can be to get into a vet these days in a timely fashion. So what I can do is provide energy support, and that assists your pet's natural healing ability to get to those areas that need tending to, as well as help them stay a little more calm, and maybe you more calm too, because when you or your pets are in that anxious fear state, that does not help with healing or feeling better. So we'll talk about that more in detail. And like I just mentioned, and before we got started, I don't have this actually listed. I got to put that down. That I'm an author. I've written a number of children's books and a couple of books for adults, and I'm just getting ready to publish my fifth book. I can't believe that. So I have two books that are good for toddlers, and two books that are geared for adults. One is my memoir. Alpacas Don't Do That. I have a book on how to communicate with animals called 5 Steps to Animal Communication. And then the toddler books are the ABCs of Animal and Emotions. And the other one is about Booster the Rooster who couldn't tell time. So those were fun ones. And this next book that's just about ready to be released is called Parallel Worlds. And that one is geared towards about fifth grade, fifth, sixth, seventh graders, and as well as I think adults will enjoy it as well. So that one will come out very shortly. But let's talk now about tending to a sick pet. And this is my little girl, Spud, who just had her face surgery. So it was nothing serious, but it needed to get done. And of course, the recovery of those is not easy, not always easy. And not knowing how she would react in this environment or after surgery. I had one dog, when he had his neutering job done, he had to wear the cone. Definitely had to wear the cone because he was very OCD about wanting to lick at the sutures and at the wound, and made it difficult to heal. So he had to wear the cone because he could not help himself. So I had no idea if she would be OCD about it as well. Fortunately, she is not. And a couple of times I've had to stop her, but for the most part, she hardly ever has to wear the the donut in this case, and which is a good thing because she's learned how to take it off herself. So that's the hard part with her. She's too smart. Um, but very different personalities. So you kind of want to be prepared, not if you don't know how your pet reacts to things, to the sedation. Again, the one that was OCD, he reacted really extremely to coming out of the sedation. He panted, he wouldn't settle down. He was just so up besides himself and unnerved by it. that he wouldn't just lay down. He fought sleeping. And so he would just pace the house and pant. And you could tell his eyes were just exhausted, but he did not want to lay down and just go to sleep. So it was hours of trying to get him calmed down when I got him home. It was really a challenge. That first night was, we didn't get a whole lot of sleep. He was just a mess. So I wasn't sure how she'd handle it. But she came home and walked around a bit, but it took a while before she settled down, but she did sleep and she slept well that first night. Um, and now the challenge is just not letting her play too much. So, so different challenges for each pet in recovering from a surgery. And thankfully, though, I have tools that can help in whatever the situation is. Uh, so, and I did notice that she had some trauma coming home from being left there. She was really afraid. There was a lot of fear about being left, and she was a rescue dog, so she came with a little baggage of abandonment and fear of being left and uncertainty of outside her home here. So that I did notice that trauma the last couple of days, and it came out in behavior. So you may see in 24, 48 hours, you'll see something behavioral that comes out from that fear. Um, so there's a regression in behavior quite often. They act out. They'll have, yeah. And when I talk about regression behavior, it can be like they have accidents in the house. Some of that could be trying to purge the drugs out of their system, but it can also be a reaction to the emotional upset. And in her case, she did a little destruction in the house earlier today. So she was right on when I say 24 to 48 hours, because the surgery was Monday. So within 2 days, it was a behavioral statement. And you could tell she felt bad about it. She knew she did wrong, but it was like she had to get that out of her system. So what can we do? So remember, when they're not feeling well, when they're anxious, when they have to be at the vet for a while and are separated from you, all of these emotions are being experienced by our pet. And and depending on how they react, or in a fear state, when they come home, they can be in a more hypersensitive state. It doesn't just immediately turn off when we bring them home. So they can still be in that fight or flight response system for a little bit of time. And depending on their background, can depend on how hard that trigger is. And so if they're in that fight or flight response system, then that's what we want to focus in on today, on what you can do to help them through that. So um, so here we go. So the number one thing to do is try to remember to breathe especially when you bring them home, or if you see them acting either out or, misbehaving a little bit, or they just seem not themselves yet. Try and stay calm yourself, do some breathing. I like to um, picture peace and calm as I'm breathing and send that to them. The thing I didn't put on this list is if you feel they are still, if they've been traumatized in way, I picture just releasing fear. Just picture releasing fear or trauma or panic, whatever the emotion may be that you feel they're experiencing. Say it in your mind, release it, and then replace and this is exactly how I word it. Release the fear, replace with peace and calm. And I like peace and calm over gratitude or some of the other high love, any of those high frequency emotions that we talk about in our healing circles. I like peace and calm because it's a really good healing frequency. It's what we really want to have them experience, especially when they're not feeling well. It's to feel that peace and calm. So you want to, I prefer using peace and calm. So again, breathe, release fear, replace with peace and calm. And you just do that mind to mind or as you're petting. And if you pet them, instead of massaging, do a very light petting. Do very, very light. Just kind of You can even go super light sometimes if they'll let you, if they feel like that's comfortable. I'm doing little light teeth touches around the area of the suture, and that helps get the cells, the healing cells going to that area to help with the inflammation and keep the healing energy going to that area. But she wouldn't want, you wouldn't want to massage there because it's tender, but a very light touch. So she'll quite often roll on her back and let me do that, especially when she's about ready to go take a nap or something, when she's really relaxed. So just again, really light touch around that area. I'm barely touching with my fingertips, and it just kind of go around that area. If you find your pet needs a little extra support because they're anxious, and I would try this before if you have the opportunity to look for pet safe essential oils. I use a company called Animal EO, and I'll put that in the chat box in a second. But that Animal EO has some nice products that are safe for dogs and cats and exotic animals, horses, alpacas, and birds. And so some of those can help with different issues. So you can look at their site for, they have a lot of different oils that are, again, safe for pets that deal with different issues. So peruse those. But I have a couple of those that I keep on hand, and that helps kind of just take the edge off if they're anxious or upset about something. So check those out. And then again, of course, clearing any of those trapped emotions, which is what my expertise is. We want to get rid of those trapped emotions because again, when they're not sick, when it's confusing. They don't understand why they are hurting or why they had to be in this vet office and taken away from you, and they stick things up your rear end. Oh boy, my girl did not like that at all. She was just like, "That's so rude." But it caused her trauma. She was shaking afterwards because she didn't understand it, and somebody's doing something that's uncomfortable to her in a foreign place, and there was a lot of smells that made her very afraid before we even went into the exam room. Um, so though that kind of trauma and fear that gets into their system, and we want to clear all that out, or anything from past issues that might have helped lead to whatever physical or emotional or physical issue that they might be going through. So the 15-minute quick cleanse package is perfect for it. Animals tend not to have a huge, a very long attention span. So the 15 minutes, we can accomplish a lot in working in helping them. And if I've already worked with you and your pet before, then the 15 minutes are perfect for that. So upcoming stuff coming on the end of the month. Can't believe we're already at the end of the month. I won't be having a healing circle this Saturday, but I will next Wednesday evening at the same time as our webinar tonight, so 6 p.m. Pacific time. And then a week from Saturday, we'll have a healing circle as well. So that we'll end the month with a healing circle. And then a week from Thursday, so a week from tomorrow, the 26th, I think that's right, is intro to animal communication class. So I'm doing another one of those classes. I've done it a few times now with her. It's hosted by Jen Weigel. It's through her website, and it's on my website if you want the link, or I'll include it in the follow-up email for today too, if you're interested in it. It does tend to sell out, so if you would like to join in on this class, it's all on Zoom. We use my alpacas to help teach you how to communicate with animals, and then you get to use your own pets as well, although you don't communicate with your own pets, but it's a lot of fun to watch others work with your pets. It's really hard to work on your own animals, so it's not the easiest ones to learn on. And then we had earlier this month, last 2 weeks, we did a dream class. And that was a lot of fun, and I think folks really enjoyed it. So what I'm going to do this time, I think that having it 2 nights was hard for folks to commit to. So I thought, let's just do one evening for a dream class, and those that attended last time, you're welcome to attend again, because you know, there's so much information and to learn on how to analyze and work with dreams that you could take that class a lot because every dream is different and unique, and how to analyze it will teach you how to learn the language of the subconscious that works on you and with you while you sleep. So that I'm going to be running that class on Zoom again November 8th, and it will be from 5 to 7 by request. They wanted a little earlier. So, and the time will have changed so we can do that easily. So 5 to 7 Pacific time. And the cost on that one is $39 for the one-time class. And again, we'll go over, we'll be working on your own dreams and helping you to analyze it. And I'll show you probably 1 or 2 different ways of looking at breaking down the dreams and how to analyze the different messages that are coming through it. So again, that's November 8th. So a few things coming up besides our normal healing circles and webinars. So just check everything out on my website. It's all there, and hopefully we'll see you at any or all. Okay, so we stop the share and open it up to any questions, comments, or we can go right into the demos and see if anybody else came in. No. Okay, so I think Rose, you're it for providing an animal. The others didn't show up today, which is fine. Get your Ralphie up. There's Ralphie. And if you can unmute yourself, Rose. Oh, you're muted.
Oh, you said unmute myself?
Here you are. Yeah, you're
Okay,
good.
yeah.
There you are. Good, good, good. Yeah, hey, John. So tell me a little bit about Ralphie and how I can help.
So we've had Ralphie for 5 years. He's about 10 now. And he seemed like a really chill dog when we first got him because he didn't react to anything. He just seemed really calm. But we realized he was disassociated. And he hates all food. So he's got real serious GI issues. He's got acid reflux. He's got IBD, but we keep it under control. But lately he's been having a lot of flare-ups because I partially I think because I tried to change his food because he just won't eat his food. Just really concerned about because I know he has a very traumatic past. And honestly, one of the issues is that we've had to cancel every single vacation probably for the past 2 years because he always seems to have a flare up right before we're going to go away. And so that's basically it. I think all of his GI stuff is probably due to trauma.
Mm-hmm. And do you know about his background at all, or?
Yeah, I did learn that he was with a couple. The guy was an alcoholic, and the woman was the guy abused the woman, and Ralphie, sort of was in the middle of it all. So yeah.
Okay, so yeah, the animals can get eating disorders similar to humans, not quite the same, but it's but the upset digestive tract does not surprise me at all, because when they go into that fight or flight response system, it turns down the digestive system. When you're in fight flight mode, your system, all your energy goes into running or fighting. So if you're in hypervigilance mode, that means your your digestive system never turns on, or it turns down to minimal. And so he's probably just never been able to process his food properly for a long, long time. And that, so, and then I don't know I think there was also trauma around being fed. That's probably where there was a lot of arguing happening. Yeah, so there's probably a lot of arguing. So again, there's fear associated to eating because that a lot of the violence started in the kitchen, I think, around meal times and stuff like that. So, um, so he's hyper vigilant just in eating. Like, oh my God, who's gonna get upset? So even though it's not like that in your house, it's just there. So I'm gonna release some of that trauma. Okay, good. There's layers of it, but I did get a nice shift off of the one layer of trauma that I got. And just letting that kind of settle for a second. Does he eat in the kitchen?
No, oftentimes when he won't eat downstairs, what we do, and I don't know how we discovered this, is we'll just take the food upstairs and put it on the bed. And he oftentimes will eat it in the bedroom, but he won't eat it downstairs.
Okay, good. Because I was going to just say change the location because a kitchen is being associated
Hmm.
with eating and trauma and violence. So
Wow.
that's probably why he is okay eating in another location. More okay because it's different. Um, you could probably even choose a different room, just not in the kitchen is not a safe place to him. At least for eating, and maybe even another location for some water might be not a bad idea either.
Okay. Okay.
So the other thing, but I'm going to tell him he is safe there. Uh, but for now, I would just encourage elsewhere just to get him on track. Let him know that he's safe with you. Oh, he would never do anything, that he's well loved here with you, which he knows, but it's just PTSD. Not just, it is PTSD. The other thing that I highly encourage you to look into is a modality called T-Touch. And I don't know if you've been on when I've talked about that before, but it's a really nice, simple modality to try and do with him that triggers the calming system, which he doesn't really know how to do for himself very well. So I would highly encourage you to do it as often as you can. And whenever you're petting him, switch over and do some T-Touches. Get those calming chemicals in going regularly into his system. And that turns down that fight or flight response system that he still has a lot of it going on. And I think you are totally right. If you hadn't said that he was dissociated, he was in a state of shock for a long time. And then even coming out of it and feeling more secure with you, it's still there. That that trigger to go into that fight or flight is very fast. So again, lots of T-Touches with him, and especially do a little before he eats, before you feed him, and after, because that again, we want the digestive system turned on. And so, especially since there's trauma around feeding time, we want that calming system to turn on so he can digest his food. And then that hopefully will calm down the other stuff that's happening, the irritable bowels and the all the other stuff that you recommend. That is because digestive system isn't turned on. So a little before, a little after. If he lets you work ears, do the ears, because that has all the pressure points throughout the whole meridian. And that really helps with the digestive system. So a little bit of ear work would be great. That makes sense.
Yes.
And then again, you can try See if he likes any of the essential oils. The Calmumile from Animal EO might be helpful to him. Or Rescue Remedy is another product you can check out.
Yeah,
check.
I do use Rescue Remedy with
Okay,
him.
yeah, so that might help him. If some like the Thunder shirt too, if he's more agitated. Some don't like it, some do. But anyway, really want to get into that calming stuff. And then he's got a lot of baggage there that we should probably try and clear out as much as we can for him. And it just can be a little slow process of, building that trust. Um, I'm just listening for a second if he has something else to say or show me how to help him. Oh, okay. At the base of his tail too, the root chakra is another area that would be very beneficial to do those tea touches and petting. Or another thing you can easily do is just a simple energy technique is rub your hands really fast together and it kind of activates them and you can feel the energy and just place them at that root chakra. Because his root chakra, there's distortion there because of his previous life of uncertainty of not of whether there was going to be violence. I don't know. I think he experienced some of the violence himself. Also, yeah, it was just a very frightening place to be in. So that can we want to reestablish his safe place. So the first the first three chakras are really good ones. Just rub your hand, put it on the root chakra, and I just kind of keep both hands over on top of it. Then I keep one at the base of the tail and then move it up just a little bit. I don't know if I can find it real fast. Let me see if I can find my wonder if it's in here. No, okay. I'm gonna see if I can find it real fast, my chakra chart. Dog and cat chakras. I have one for dogs and cats. See if it comes up. Here we go. All right, let me share it. I can see it, but you can't. Here we go. See if I can make it a little bigger for you. So again, I would do it right at the base of the tail, go up a little bit, right about where the hips are, and then almost mid back. Those are the first three.
Okay.
So just kind of put it up in those first three areas are the key ones, but you can do the whole body, but those are the ones that are most distorted for him. He feels the love, so that one's a little stronger because he is bonded with you. Feels like he's bonded with you. He
Very
might
much.
be. There might be a tinge of attachment issue there, or maybe not even a tinge. And that part is a little unhealthy. Part of the bond is there's a fear component to it as well because he's afraid that you'll disappear, which is probably why his sensing when you go out of town, he freaks out. I do have a virtual pet sitting service, so
I've used you before for
okay.
that.
Did it help at all?
It's hard to tell. I don't know. I mean, I've been keeping notes on him for so long, trying to like see patterns, and he's a tough one. I don't know. Plus, there's a delayed reaction with things for him, so he seems okay for a few days, and then
That's the key. So if the virtual part didn't, then that is very, very common. That's what I was talking about. It's about 24 to 48-hour delay sometimes, and sometimes it's even a little longer, go to a week or 2 weeks longer, that the reaction happens. And for his case, it can have a flare up of his digestive system. So uh you might want to book that session for when you get home.
Okay.
Do the 15-minute right away so we can clear that out and
Okay.
hopefully and rebalance his energy. You doing the key touches on him, all that stuff can help him. Hopefully, if he may still have some of it, but we may not have as big of a reaction. The thing is to get it through him as fast as we can. So we got some other. Okay, so Janet suggested chicken broth, cooked chicken and white
Yeah,
rice slightly. I'm
yeah,
sure
he can't tolerate chicken.
chicken.
He's on venison. We have to have him on novel proteins.
Yeah, a lot of them they just can't tolerate it.
Yeah.
And Tina's talked about I can never say that word. Copaiba. Sorry.
I
What is
Essential
that?
I think
oils.
it's Copaiba.
Thank you.
Copaiba.
Copaiba on her dog's tummy when the vet said he may be having kidney issues.
Huh.
But it's good for digestive issues as well. So yeah, check out again, I would really explore that animaleo.info is their website. I'll put it in the chat. And if I can spell, that's their website. Instead of .com, it's .info. And they have a lot of information about different things, especially for doggies. And they have a closed Facebook group where you can kind of search for different
Okay.
issues and then what people have done and how they've applied the oils and blah, blah, blah. So I'm not an expert at all on oils, but that's why I send them to the experts, send y'all to experts on it. But some of that can help, plus just their calming stuff, especially if you're going to be gone. That's when I would apply some of those things to help them through those moments. And again, it's just try and get rid of those emotions as soon as we can, because it's, you know, they've been through a lot. You just do the best we can in helping them through it. But it's quite amazing when we do some of the clearings, those 15-minute clearings. It can take a number of them. I had one that was one of the most extreme cases I've ever dealt with. Was a dog that was part of a hoarding situation and had never left the basement of their place. And when he came out of it, I think he was several years old when he got rescued and pulled out of that environment. He had never been exposed to anything, no other humans other than the one that just fed him, and you know tended to some of his basic needs. But he never experienced petting. He never knew anything, saw the daylight. So when he got into a normal house, just being in a living area was sensory overload. And he was just freaked out. Didn't know how to handle being around the people, didn't like getting petted, didn't like anything normal that a dog would like. He just sat in great shaking. And
Well,
so
that's so interesting because Ralphie, uh, he didn't know what a toy was. His paws were like a puppy's paws that he never walked, and he was 5 years old when we got him. And the sad thing about him is that, I mean, he loves us. I know he does, but he doesn't want to be close. He keeps his distance. He sleeps on the edge of the bed instead of like between us or close to us, and he gets uncomfortable if you want to cuddle with him. So there's a lot of issues with I don't know exactly what that is, why he
yeah,
does.
it's he doesn't understand it. But that's the thing, is that from this dog that has nothing, he's bonded with the one person completely. And who this dog that he was afraid of being petted or anything like that, loved butt scratches now and will back up to her and wants scratches. Was afraid of eating in the kitchen because things moved and didn't understand why, he thought there were spirits, weird things happening because, drawers were opening and closing. He didn't understand that the person was opening and closing these things. So it was just, I don't understand anything. So it was slow, and I give them credit for how dedicated and devoted they were, but I cleared and communicated to him on what was going on, what he could try. See, once we cleared enough, would suggest try this and see if you don't like it and why they're doing this. And then he'd let it and go, oh, I like that. And then he accepted it. And asked, he's not afraid of the kitchen anymore. And now it's a great place because he gets fried eggs and all sorts of goodies in there. So, and people who knew him when they first got him to where he is now, they go, oh my God, he's like a little dog. So we can overcome stuff. It just can take time because of so much trauma. And bless his heart that I think he's got there's an eagerness to want to learn. That's what I feel from him, that he would like to learn. He wants to please you. I feel that that's there. He really, that's stronger than that other case. Didn't even have a relationship to want to please. And he still doesn't really get that. To be honest with you, it's more of a narcissistic kind of a situation there. But he's so cute, he wins. But in this case, I think he really wants to please you. He just doesn't always know how. So we can explain things that will help him understand what he can do and why you're asking him. Like cuddling, he doesn't get that. He doesn't understand that. And some of it, when the first thing you said in there, it was also related to protection, both for himself and for you. Sleeping on the foot of the bed, he's more watchful. And that's part of that hypervigilance too, of where there's danger out there. So I need to be sleeping at the foot of the bed versus up at the head. So it's kind of he's watching over you and him.
Thank you.
Any other questions, comments, folks? Thank you for sharing, Rafi. That was a good example of everything. Everything.
Yeah.
A lot of care. But it's
Thank you.
also a great example of why fear can cause all these, especially digestive issues. That is very, very common for both animals and people. Ulcers, folks that are stressed out because their stomach never gets turned on. All right, anything, anybody? I'm going to stop the recording.